And with us, we have NBC News national affairs analyst and a partner in chief political columnist at Puck, John Heilman, also special correspondent at Vanity Fair and host of Fast Politics podcast, Molly Jong Fast. Also the co-founder and CEO of All In Together, Lauren Leader, columnist for the Daily Beast, David the Rothkopf, and Democratic Congressman Tom Suozzi of New York. So let's take an issue that's very important to you, very important to Mika, very important to millions of Americans, and that's reproductive rights, which actually come down to Supreme Court justices for the most part. I think it's good for not just Democrats, everybody to understand that a lot of times people don't vote on that issue. So you take care of the issues that you hear about when you knock on doors, whether it's public safety, whether it's inflation or whatever. You get to influence these issues that matter the most to you, but not before you do what you hear about when you knock on doors. And that's not to say that there aren't so many people that care about reproductive rights. I'm saying, though, as we always say here, two things can be true at one time.
Right, and actually two things were true in this election, right? You had all of these ballot initiatives that won in places where Trump also won, right? Like, that's the reality of this election. There was a lot of zigzagging around the ballots for people in ways that I think none of us really anticipated. I mean, you look at Arizona, you look at any of these places. So where people had those opportunities to kind of do both, right? To vote to secure their freedoms, they did. They chose to do that. It was clearly very animating for a lot of women. But for, then there's this 1.5% margin that Trump wins by, and then districts like yours, more significant. Also next door to him, Laura Gillard, who is the only woman in the state of New York who flipped a district. Very similar strategy. I mean, she did talk about the border in, Hempstead, right? Which is it was an issue important to her constituents. I wanted to just take issue with one thing from David before, though, because I feel like it matters. I wanted to come back to it, where he said, we need to explain to voters more about blah, 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 blah. No, this is the problem, is that we keep trying to explain to voters and tell them why they're wrong about things, right? They didn't understand that the economy was actually better than it is. Well, that's not a thing you can explain. You either feel it or you don't, right? So I think this is part of it. We need to diversify in a serious way our political consultant class outside of all my friends from the cities. We do need people from around the country. And last thing, my friend Adam Frisch was saying to me yesterday, he's campaigning in Colorado, the dignity, which is, I think, really what you're talking about in terms of wages and, the sort of quality of life. People want to be treated with dignity. And I think that is a baseline that we have to figure out how to do better.